So much for joining us today for the Design Review Board of October 16th. If we could start with the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay. So first we'll start with attendance.
So noted.
Great. And we'll start with public comment. If there's anyone who's not an applicant that wants to come up and speak about any of the items. Okay, we'll close public comment. Next, we have approval of the minutes of October 2nd. Unless there's any changes, I'd look for a motion.
One suggestion, at the bottom of page 2, under item 1, it shows that I voted. I was not at the meeting.
So noted. The correction will be
It'll
amended.
be Neil. It was Neil, right? Yeah. Okay, so with that change, do we have a motion?
So motion to approve as amended.
Motion by Treasurer Shostak,
Support.
support by Clerk Brooke. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? That passes. Next, we go on to our new items, and we have the site plan, facade improvements, and signage. We have 3675 Maple Road for Plum Market. And we'll start with Andrea, and then if the applicant wants to come up after as well.
Okay, so what you have before you is a request for actually an expansion for the existing Plum Market, which is currently located at the corner of Maple and Losser Road within the Bloomfield Common Shopping Center. Highlighted on your screen, you can see the B2 zoning classification in which the in which the Plum Market location is found. And here is an aerial. So interesting opportunity arised for the owners of Plum Market, actually with the closure of Rite Aid immediately adjacent to. The owners of Plum Market are now requesting to have a approximately 10,000 square foot addition to be added on to be precise, 9,873 square feet. They are asking to incorporate into their floor plan and to create an additional floor area for the site. I'm going to fast forward to the floor plan. Okay, it is not in here. I apologize. So the proposal is literally for them to reconfigure and to add a 10,000 square foot addition into the Plum Market immediately adjacent. The intention, as shown within your packet on the facade, is to mirror the current awnings and brick that is currently on the Plum Market facade. You can see below in the photograph where the Rite Aid previously existed. The applicant is going to be seeking to change out some of the window areas that you can currently see on that Rite Aid that are blocked in. They're actually going to be expanding the windows across that frontage. And additionally, they are proposing to add an additional sign in that area. So I'm going to call it up on here for you. Sorry about that. Okay. So as part of their proposal, and I'm sorry this is not within your packet, I apologize. Sorry.
Oh, look at that.
It's like trying to fit into skinny jeans.
Oh, there we go. Good timing. Excellent. Thank you very much.
Thanks to the architect to save the day.
Thank you.
Thank you. I apologize for that.
Okay.
Plan's not here on the floor. So part of the proposal is for them to actually change out the existing wall sign by doing, currently they kind of have like a, it's a little more, it's not as opaque. They're asking to change the back end of the existing signage, as well as they are adding some additional language to the bottom, which does include liquor and pharmacy. As part of their floor plan remodel, it's kind of interesting, they are actually going to be reincorporating the indoor pharmacy. They are, from my understanding, the applicant has notified us that they are going to be in a relationship with the compound, the Village Compound Pharmacy, in which they will have a presence within the shopping center. From our understanding and meeting with the owners, is it's becoming more commonplace, again, to have pharmacies within shopping centers or within grocery stores. So they are adding that language onto their sign. The sign, as it was previously approved, looking back on the history, it was approved at the time, and it does measure 194 square feet. So it does actually exceed the permitted size. The permitted size, actually, I apologize, the permitted size is 150, and this sign you're looking at right now, this one sign you're looking at is 148.5. So they just come under the permitted 150 based on their frontage. But in addition to this sign that they're looking to redesign, they are asking to add a secondary sign, which is located here. The intention of this is to kind of just allow the consumer to be aware that the extension of the store continues on. I can have the applicant certainly present their reasoning why they feel that a second sign would be necessary. The proposed second sign measures at about 45.6 square feet. So if we add them up, the existing 148.5 plus the proposed 45.6, and we're coming in about 194.1 square feet. So we are exceeding the permitted size, so that would require a variance in terms of exceeding, actually the variance would be for secondary signage, okay? So that's what the facade, the proposed facade is gonna look like. So as you can see, they're making it a continuous appearance to blend in and meld with the existing architecture. In addition to this proposal, they are adding a CMU painted block enclosure in the rear of their in the rear of the shopping center. Currently, that dumpster enclosure is located near actually closer to the residential behind the store. Their intention is actually bringing it in closer to the store, so they're actually improving the location by bringing it closer into the store, adding a painted CMU block wall to continue to the screening of it. And because they were able to relocate this, they were able to reestablish 2 parking spots that were previously being taken by the dumpster in the rear. So that's actually, we look at that as an improvement, a site improvement, and they're moving towards compliance. So that's a welcomed improvement for the site. And then in addition to that, they will be adding some roof-mounted mechanicals. Roof-mounted mechanicals are always required to be screened accordingly from public view. That would be a requirement of this proposal. And as you can see on the screen, this is the existing, the rear of the building. And then we do have various approvals from our departments. Fire department issuing that they have, stating they have no issues with the proposal. Environmental and engineering just denoting any of the requirements upon engineering plan review for the interior build out that would be required. Just want to make note that there's no other site changes proposed to this, no other restriping of parking lots, no changes to ingress or egress. This is solely just the interior build out, the new sign, and the dumpster enclosure outside is the parameters of this project. And then also as well, we have comments from our fire marshal denoting requirements prior to the issuance of a permit.
So we are approving the inside?
Correct.
Could you show us that?
Absolutely.
The interior layout wouldn't be part of a review of the design review
Oh, it's
board.
not? Okay, I
No,
thought
it's
she
not.
just said
No.
it was. Okay.
But it affords at least an understanding of the layout and why there's the interest of expanding and identifying, but the interior is not part of the design
So it's
review
not,
board.
because she just mentioned that it was?
No.
Okay.
So here is the floor plan, and actually this this would be a good opportunity possibly for the applicant to come up and maybe discuss their thoughts in regards to this addition in the floor plan. Let me zoom out a little bit here. So it's pretty seamless because this is actually the floor plan that shows the existing as well as the proposed.
Come on up. Can you introduce yourself too?
Sure. Good afternoon. Can you guys hear me okay?
Yep.
Good afternoon, Alex Soroki Architecture. We're the architects for the project. I'm here today with Matt Jonah, who's the CEO and co-founder of Plum Market, and Paul Dunslager, who's National New Project Support for Plum Market. Thank you, Andrea, for the overview of the proposed project. We're excited to be here this afternoon to present the Plum Market Bloomfield expansion. Plum operates, just to give you a little bit of background, Plum operates more than 25 multiple format locations across Michigan, Illinois, Indiana, Ohio, Texas, and Florida. But this location's special because this was Plum's first location, which opened 17 years ago in 2007. Our proposal expands the Plum Market store to the east in the former Rite Aid space, which is approximately 10,000 square feet, and Plum's making about a $3 to $4 million investment with this expansion. In regards to the floor plan, the expansion includes a larger vestibule when you enter the store, along with a new produce department, floral and candy department, wine and liquor department, and the pharmacy, which Andrea talked about earlier. We are proposing several improvements to the front and rear facades. Maybe I'll try and have them up it so you can see as I'm talking through it.
Great.
So there are the, currently in the Rite Aid space, the openings exist on the left of the elevation. You can see they're actually filled in with EFS. And so the goal today. Okay, great. Perfect. Yeah, so I'm referring to these openings which exist today that have been filled in with EFS paneling. So the goal is to make the whole storefront consistent. It was obviously two different stores, and we're trying to unify it, which is the reason we're making it more open and putting the storefront to match the existing Plum facade, and also why we're introducing the second sign. I just want to clarify for the main entry sign, we're proposing a new sign backing, which is actually what's there today is a Trex decking material, and what we're proposing is a Trespa panel material. And the Plum Market sign is going to be it's actually a new sign, and it's an existing sign that's going to be replaced. The channel sign will be put back onto the Trespa paneling. So the Plum Market sign is existing and will be reused, and actually liquor is existing and will be reused. So the only thing we're adding to that front sign is the Village Pharmacy. And then obviously on the left, on the former Rite Aid spot, that is a new internally lit sign that we're proposing.
And that sign just says Plum Market?
It just says Plum Market, correct.
So we don't consider the liquor and the Village Pharmacy as marketing like we have in previous signs that came before us?
Because we can't really address the signage language, we can only review design. The board is being asked just to look at the design of the signage.
How come sometimes it is the wording that we are looking at and we ask to remove?
Having to do with logos, we can, but specific words, we are limited to do that.
So it's not considered marketing,
Correct.
but it has been in others.
In the past.
Yeah, in recent past, like in the last 4 years, yeah.
More recently, as advised by our township attorney, we're not looking at the language specifically, but it's more the design of the signage. And then the logo
Changed
specifically.
really recently, like in the last month or so?
No. So we'll have to talk and discuss
Yeah,
what you're
because
referring
it
to.
seems strange. I know we've said no to some people on having things written.
I will have to just discuss that with
Okay.
you.
Okay, sorry, go on.
No, that's okay. At the rear of the building, here is the new dumpster enclosure. There actually is a dumpster enclosure there today behind the Rite Aid space, but this is expanded and larger to fit Plum's existing trash compactor that'll be relocated. We're also introducing a new overhead door and a man door. Today there is a ramp that exists outside of the space, and we're actually incorporating that into the store, which we feel is a better condition and a safer condition. just want to clarify one item on the site plan. So the existing trash enclosure or dumpster enclosure is currently right here, and the new relocated enclosure is here. We're actually striping off 2 existing spaces in the back to allow the proper clearance needed for that dumpster to get picked up from the trash company. But where the existing dumpster enclosure is today, we're gaining 8 spaces. So it's still a net of 6 spaces, which is an improvement. We have received all the department comments, and obviously we'll comply with those. And thank you for the consideration, and happy to answer any questions.
Any questions? First of all, I love Plum Market, so I'm very excited. My issue is with I know we've said no to the language, especially concerning the current board being so concerned about to-go liquor. Highlighting that there's liquor would, like, considering I know, but it's a new sign now. If they take it down and touch it, it's not, once they touch it, it's a new sign. So that's the question, is concerning, especially, some of the concerns that have come up of to-go liquor.
We've been advised by our township attorney that we were supposed to be looking at strictly design, that to address specific language and the choice of signage and verbiage is not in our purview because of recent court cases. Recent meaning the last
Recent?
5 years.
So we should probably look back at any that we've turned down language on and re-offer them that option.
Not necessarily. I would think that in this instance, I would just rather have you address what is being before you, and then we can talk about how to address signage going forward with Dirk, if you'd like to
Because
do
it does
that.
appear that we've been incorrect with people in the past 4 years.
Again, I will have to, I'm not really understanding what sign you're referring to, which,
Well, there have been others that wanted to list what they sell, and we were telling them, no, that's marketing.
again, we'll have to talk about that, because I can't recall which ones you're talking about.
Okay. All right, anybody else have questions? Okay.
I do have a question, I guess. There's
Sure.
still the same entrance at the front, right, where the main sign is?
Yes, that's still the main entrance to the store. It's just, once you enter, the vestibule is being expanded
Okay.
to the east.
Will I still have to drive to West Bloomfield to get the things over there? Or am
Well, it's
I
going to be a
I can
larger
just stay
store,
right
so
here?
there's probably going to be more product.
So the
Okay.
answer is no.
Yeah.
Great. Much rather stay closer to home. Looks great.
Is there a second entrance by the Rite Aid entrance? Or is that being closed off?
Nope, it's actually getting filled in with storefront window to match the existing Plum facade. So it's just the one main entrance at the front facade.
I thought you did.
I did, yeah. And so we would refer this to ZBA for consideration of the secondary signage?
Correct.
I'm prepared to move to approve as presented and refer to ZBA for their consideration of the secondary signage.
So we have a motion by Clerk Brooke,
Support.
support by Treasurer Sostak. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All opposed? No. And the only reason I'm saying no is because I personally know that I had to say no to some people, and I'll have to look up, but I love Plum Market, and I absolutely support what you're doing, but if there's even a hint in my head that I've treated somebody unfairly, until I know that for sure, I can't.
I remember, like Alex said, our first location was here, and now we're in.
I love Plum, yeah.
I had
That's
no idea,
amazing.
8 states. Yeah.
That's and it's
Yeah.
quality, wonderful things. So no, I
Nice.
love,
And
if there's,
Patty, I
yeah,
remember being that first meeting.
yeah, that's amazing.
Nice.
But we're excited about this expansion, and bringing in a pharmacy is,
Yeah.
we're planning to do that in all of our locations. The industry changing pretty quickly. So
Yeah.
we're excited about that partnership too, and we're planning to do that in all of our.
Especially with so many closing, the individual standalones closing, and if you're already there getting produce and food, it's a nice thing that you're adding.
Yeah, we're
I-
excited.
Yeah,
Thank you for the
that's
support.
wonderful.
We appreciate it.
Yeah.
Fabulous. Can't wait to see the finished product.
It's going to be best store in the area.
Yeah, that does pass 2-1, and I apologize. Literally, it's just if there's even a chance.
Oh, no, totally.
All right, thank you. So congratulations.
Thanks.
Next, we have 40 East Square Lake with the Express Car Wash.
Okay. Okay, so what you have before you, this is a proposal for new construction for a Clean Express Car Wash. Clean Express Car Wash is a company that does currently exist and operates. They are from Ohio. And as soon as they reached out to the township to construct a new car wash within the township, we informed them that all car washes within the township have to be entirely enclosed. So they rose to the challenge, and they have now provided us a site plan that indicates everything be enclosed, and that includes the vacuums, as well as some inside parking to allow for the vacuuming. So that was, so that's what, in my opinion, this is slightly different maybe than a
There's
typical.
enclosed vacuums
Yeah.
on rainy day.
So this is this is kind of a unique design, if you will. And so what they were proposing, this is in the location. This is located at 40 East Square Lake Road. This is in the location of the former Tim Hortons. The Tim Hortons building was approximately 1,800 square feet. The proposal for this new car wash in a very similar location is coming in at 11,524 square feet. They do meet all the required setbacks as it relates to the building setbacks, meeting the exceeding the required front yard setback from Square Lake Road. They're required to have 25 feet. They have a 75-foot front yard setback, as well as meeting all the requirements for the side yard setbacks. I do just want to highlight that we do have 2 zoning districts on this lot. We actually have a P1 zoning classification, which actually runs along this easterly portion of the property. So that is for vehicular parking and traffic, if you will. And then once you get cross where this entrance drive aisle is, now we enter into the B2 zoning classification. So within our ordinance, I'm sorry, it's B3, general business classification, and P1.
P1? The map says
P1 is
map
the-
says R1. No. Wait, never mind. It says site property. Okay, we got R1 for the residential and just a B3, but there's a third one.
A P1 zoning
Fourth one, a
classification,
P1,
correct.
okay.
Yep. So they're not anticipating to have any functions as it relates to the structure. There's no permanent structures being located in that P1 zoning district, as that would not be allowed. But the applicant, what they're providing is actually a conveyor belt system. So the client would enter into the property site via Square Lake Road, but there also is, I just want to point out that there is an existing cross-access agreement between the Rusty Bucket property, which exits out onto Woodward, as well as the Square Lake. So technically, because of the cross-access, there is 2 access and egress points from the site. So you could, so I just wanted to point that out. So they would enter in through Square Lake Road. They would then get into this queue in this area here, which would then bring them to a self-pay kiosk. And then upon entering through the self-pay kiosk, they would then enter into the building where you see this dark black line. And it's actually a conveyor belt system, which I like because I get very nervous when I have to pull in and get my tires just right. So that's kind of neat. This is actually a conveyor belt system where the car actually goes through into a conveyor belt. And then upon exiting the car wash area, if the client so chooses, they could then enter into the covered vacuum area in which they could then clean out their car. They are offering, as part of their business model, it's free vacuuming for their patrons. They are also adding a dumpster enclosure to the rear of the site, located back here. They do have a landscape plan that does demonstrate that dumpster enclosure will be screened in accordance with our ordinance as it relates to evergreen plantings to either meet or exceed the height of the dumpster at the time of planting. They've also denoted in the rear of their building that there will be a transformer on site, and that transformer will also have to be screened accordingly with vegetation to either meet or exceed the height of that transformer at the time of planting. You can see up here on your screen that they have provided a scenario in which they've got 4 cars that are actually inside the conveyor belt, and then you can see that they have the single lane that enters in from Square Lake, and then where it turns into 2 lanes, you can see a total of 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18. They have a total of 19 spaces that would take them to the end of the car wash. In relation, we have had this studied and reviewed by our traffic engineer. Our traffic engineer has worked very closely with the applicant, making sure that there has been conversations with MDOT, as we are very familiar with the nature and the weight, heavy traffic in this area. There were no issues related to our traffic engineer in terms of the stacking and access. The only concern is that 5% time of the year, worst case scenario, 5%. The expectation is that the applicant would be required, if there were ever any issues in this area, they're not concerned, our traffic engineer is not concerned about traffic backing up into Square Lake. They just want to make sure that there's no conflicts in this direct area that 5% of the year, in case somebody's coming out of the conveyor belt, somebody's coming into the car wash, and somebody's entering the site.
What do you mean by 5% of the year?
Meaning, like, there's only a 5% chance that they're going to have that demand based on ITE, based on their parking analysis, that there's really only about 5% chance that they're ever going to be utilizing it at that level of use, that they would require some additional mitigation in that area. The applicant is able to state and present as their presentation that they would be monitoring that on site if and when that were to occur. But based on all the...
Is the point that the space at the exit could be occupied and a new car is being plopped out?
Correct. In other words, if a car were to be exiting the car wash here, our recommendation...
Can't move or doesn't move.
Yeah, correct. And if there is somebody then trying to get into or out of the vacuuming area, there could potentially be, a few cars in this area.
Does the conveyor stop if there's no space to come out?
That would actually...
Okay.
So with that, I am happy to answer any questions. I do know that we have asked the applicant to engage in the Colbury Estates Homeowners Association, immediately adjacent to. And I do want to note, again, that we do have reviews from our fire marshal, as well as our police department, indicating no concerns related to the operations, as well as a review from our traffic engineer dated September 24th, 2024. Let's see. A shared parking analysis was part of the original scope of work, so they did provide the necessary documentation as it relates to the impact of the road infrastructure that is adjoining this property, and they do comply with the provisions of that traffic report, as well as we do have sign-off as well from EESD, our Engineering Environmental Services Department, as well as this has been reviewed by our consulting engineer, HRC. There are a few details that I am working through in regards to getting a final landscape plan. There were a couple comments that were made by Michael J. Dool in regards to some additional plantings that are required on the site. However, Michael J. Dool does identify that due to the layout of the site and due to really the limited areas of green space, there is a possibility that the applicant is unable to meet the fulfilled replacement, then they would have to be required to make a donation into the Woodland Trust Fund. With that, I'm happy to answer any questions, like I stated. At this point, we don't have any variances before us, which is really good for new construction. The only thing that would probably come before you is if and when they come back with signs. Whether or not they're going to go for 1 or 2 signs, that's not clear at this point. But this time, we don't have a formal sign package that we're presenting you.
So just to confirm that, the signs I see on the drawings, we're not being asked to approve those signs.
I would say that those are conceptual in nature, and they would have to make a separate design review board application.
Okay. Thank you.
And here is the landscape plan on your screen.
Do you guys have any questions before, or do you want to hear from the applicant? Does anyone
Yeah.
want to come on up?
Yes.
So what are we being asked to approve?
The site.
Site plan.
Hi, my name's Jake Carlett with Manick & Smith, the engineering designer. And this is Adam Meyer with Express Wash.
I'm the area regional manager for Clean Express Wash.
Welcome.
Is there anything you want to add as well?
I mean, not a whole lot that wasn't covered. A couple things that I could just fire off quickly that are concerns that generally come up is noise. We have quite a bit of sound studies and everything, providing decibel levels at different distances from the correlators and washer at the end of the tunnel, which show that at a distance of 35 to 40 feet. It's going to be lower than your standard roadway is anyway. That's usually the neighbor's top concern. There's a pretty advanced water reclamation system that recycles 80% of the water used each wash, so it's a much lower impact on the local water pressure network and everything than a standard car wash would be. One thing that is a little unusual on this site is that it's all actually one parcel with the Rusty Bucket below. It's not separate sites. It's two businesses operating on the same parcel, so there is no need for a cross-access agreement, really. There used to be a shared parking, but no cross-access is needed. And then we did also, the main traffic concern for that area exiting the building, we did provide additional signage. We added a yield sign and sent that exhibit over to the reviewer, just demonstrating what we would do to prevent any conflict in that area, showing that cars leaving the tunnel would have priority over cars leaving the vacuum area. Anything we could do to prevent conflict there. And speaking to that 5% instances, those are almost always going to be weekends in snowy weather. They've got some pretty good methods for knowing when those are going to be beforehand, and they'll usually have extra employees on site for those days when that's expected, which are dedicated to outdoor traffic.
It's
flow.
snowy weather, not sunny weather. I figured it'd be the busier time would be sunny weather.
No, the snow in the winter is
Snowy
definitely the
Okay.
busiest time.
It's that road salt.
That's true.
Do we have copies of the sound studies?
I can provide those. I believe they were submitted to the planning department.
Yeah, we can certainly provide you a copy of those.
And when you
Do
say,
you have it that you can just pull it up? Because that's a concern.
I'm
of
not
ours.
sure if Jacob actually, did you submit them to me? I don't recall.
I believe I did.
Okay.
We sent in a lot of stuff. I don't know what
Yeah,
else.
so you would have had to review it before it
Well,
came
we
in.
didn't anticipate a requirement of a sound study because everything was interior to the site.
Yeah, those sound studies are for outdoor vacuums, so this is going to be even more muffled than that.
Okay.
Yep.
Yeah, we have a site down in Roseville that abuts residential. They have pretty strict sound ordinance. We were much quieter at the property line with an outdoor vac than the traffic on Gratiot.
Do you see it on here?
and as you said, these vacuums are indoors, so
Right.
quieter.
That's awesome.
Very
Definitely.
unique design. We have a few other sites where we're getting ready to open one up in Warren. It's something that Detroit has never seen.
And this will be the first new build. All the other indoor vac sites are renovations of existing buildings where we just kind of forced it into an existing structure. This is the first new build for an indoor vac wash.
I have one more question. What are the hours of operation that are permitted in these sites, and what's the plan?
The hours of operations are from 7 o'clock in the morning till 8 o'clock at night. We start bringing employees in at 6, but that's an hour to set up, and they're gone by 9 for an hour cleanup.
then
Sundays is from 9 a.m. to 6 p.m.
So 6 days a week, 7 a.m. to 8 p.m., Sundays, the 9 to
9 to 6.
9 to 6.
And there's
that's
a 3D
consistent-
rendering on your screen as well that will help show you the layout from Square
Oh.
Lake Road.
Nice. And those hours are consistent with the requirements for the
That is
on the
correct,
zoning?
yes.
Correct.
Okay.
And then when it comes to signage, so that people know to go to the right, not the left, otherwise they're gonna be in Rusty Bucket, there'll be some sort of sign so that people know not to go around and to the left?
It appears there's a directional sign that's at the end of that island when you enter in.
Little blue one?
Yeah, a little pole-mounted sign on the end of that island. We
Okay.
have some flexibility on kind of what direction you want us to take as far as the language of those signs, but
Make sure people from Square Lake don't start coming around thinking that they can.
Yeah.
They're gonna actually then block Rusty Bucket
yep.
and all that too.
You know, it could have, I don't know, does this site have a problem now with anyone cutting through from Woodward to Square Lake?
Well, right now it's a Tim Hortons where there's
Yeah.
obvious parking. This isn't a parking system. This is a drive-through, like.
Oh, I know, just people coming from,
I think there are people that are
cutting through Rusty
coming
Bucket,
east on
coming
Square
up.
Lake that want to go to Rusty
Oh,
Bucket.
yeah, I go that way sometimes from here.
And just to point out, the cross-access
Yeah, yeah.
easement
So it is.
agreement is
Yeah.
existing.
It is.
So that is something that's existing. cross access, so that will remain.
Yeah, the cross-access isn't what I'm worried about, but right now you
Yeah.
know. Yeah, right now you know you're not going to Tim Hortons, you're going into Rusty Bucket. Now I'm worried that the people coming for the car wash won't understand that's not 2 lanes for a car wash. Does that make sense? Like, because a lot of them do have 2 lanes that then go into one right before you enter. But again, that's the signs that we'll deal with later,
I
but.
think so, the
Yeah,
directional sign. will help
signage,
with
and
that.
also paint striping signage on the ground can help with that quite a bit as well.
Okay. So I had a question about the, for the stacking, how big are the spaces? Are they our 20-foot spaces or are they Starbucks 15-foot spaces? As long as they're our 20, we're good.
Yeah, these are shown as 9 by 20.
Perfect. So your neighbor tried to do 15-foot ones, whereas like convertibles are even.
Everyone's
about
driving smart cars.
So perfect. So 20, that knocks that question off. The neighbors. You are coming to a very unique area. I know you know this because you have handled one of the spots, knowing the other neighbors around, in particular the president of that HOA. What have they said about the building? Because you
Might
were,
want to defer to the owners here on that
want
one.
to come on up to the microphone? Yeah. She bought the one.
Hello, my name is Haley Jonah. We're the owner of the site. My father, Laith, as you mentioned, he brought the Tim Hortons and Rusty Bucket project before you guys with Andrea and Patty as well. I did send an email with the site plan out to the president of the homeowners association last week. I have not received any feedback to date.
Mr. McMurtry hasn't said anything?
No.
Okay. Wow. All right.
Email's broken.
Yeah, I was just gonna say. Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you for emailing that out. That was my one for your own safety too, or not safety, for your own sanity. I wanted to make sure you had reached out. Yeah. So we had that one, and then the 5% when the stacking, when that does become an issue. How you said, how are you going to handle that so that that doesn't end up getting people stuck?
So on an average day, there's usually 3 employees on site, 2 indoors, 1 outdoor for, any trash collection, traffic direction, or maintaining the pay kiosks. On a busier day like that, when we know, based on their models, a winter weekend type of day, there'll be 4 to 5, maybe even 6 employees on site, 3 specifically for traffic direction, as well as we do have the option on most of our indoor vac sites. We close off the access to the indoor vacuums to anyone who has not already gone through the tunnel. So we could just eliminate that left turn or the right turn once you come into the site entirely on days like that.
Cool. And then my last question, just because right nearby we have, where sometimes on sunny days, actually, it stacks up and it's not allowed on Telegraph. So then I have to send the police out to clear Telegraph. How are you going to handle when it gets really busy on those days that people understand they're not going to be allowed to stack up on Square Lake? With all those employees, will they be waving people on? Or?
Yes, exactly. In that kind of situation, also, so we know from our existing sites, our 95th percentile stacking is only 6 to 8 cars. I mean, when you're up looking at 1920, that's once in a year, maybe.
Yeah, it's not often.
Yeah.
It's not often.
Yep.
It's just
So,
the neighbors don't enjoy it
Yeah,
when it
so
gets.
on those real high volume days, and we know when they're coming, there'll be people directing people to either go onto that stacking lane and turn around and come, just so they don't stack out into Square Lake, or entering, kind of going and turn around the vacuum area, something like that.
It's the ones coming into like if they're on Square Lake trying to turn into and it's already full.
Yeah, so we'd have people
They'll be
out there
stay
sending
out.
them around so that we could stack up the lane there.
Sending them
if
down
that
Square
ever
Lake
did
to
happen.
keep coming back. Like, meaning they can't
Not
get
down
in
Square
your
Lake.
property.
Yeah,
Okay,
so I'm saying if they were,
okay.
if it was to stack out that far, we would direct those people that were
Yeah.
starting to block off the entrance drive to come in, turn around, and start stacking up the lane there.
We have the capability
I don't
too
think
of
I'm phrasing it
increasing the
correctly.
conveyor speed.
So I don't think I'm phrasing it correctly. I'm not
Stack
worried
on
about
property.
on your property. I'm worried about the people that can't get onto your property because you're so busy that they now want to start a line on Square Lake Road.
Yeah,
Those are the people, so when you keep saying, well, I don't know that I'm phrasing it right. You're saying, well, we'll stop the stuff on site. They're not on site yet.
I'm saying the people that would be stacking into that access drive that would start to block people from turning in, we could have them,
On Square Lake, you would tell them to keep driving down.
we could
Square
have
Lake.
them cycle in through the site, turn around, and
He would stack, they have space to do another stacking internally. They would direct them to
Give me
come
the-
in and
so
stack.
So let's say, how many spots on your site do you have for your
So,
stacking?
It's 19 to get to the end of the stacking
So
lane.
you got
additional
27 people
3.
that want to get into your site right now. You've got 6 of them on Square Lake Road that are nowhere near your door.
Yeah.
You, literally, this happens, so we have
So-
this down here.
So it'd take
Past
about-
Kroger, people are waiting to get in.
Yes.
How are we handling those people so they don't stay on Square Lake?
One of the ways, I mean, that generally happens on other car washes because they, the dryer, they require hand washing dryers and stuff. They can't cycle through cars quickly enough. With ours, we have a really high advanced dryer at the end. We don't require hand washing at the end there. So we can put a car through our wash every 36 seconds.
Okay.
It would take 30 cars in 1 minute to
Okay.
even begin for that to be an option.
So it takes out like the jacks issue at the end of.
Yeah, see, they have hand washers and stuff. They cannot cycle through cars nearly as quickly as a express wash like this.
That makes sense.
Yep.
Okay. Thank you, sorry.
Yeah,
Like,
no,
I'm
I get
not
what you're saying.
phrasing it.
What I
How
was
can I
trying to-
phrase it better?
Yeah, what I was trying to say is, if we were to start to stack out to here at this point.
Yeah, I'm not even worried about that. Do you see
Yeah.
the big square lake out there?
Yeah,
That's what I was.
Yeah, I'm
worried
saying,
about.
once we reach this point, we would have people start directing cars not to stack into this area. They would come out here, turn around, and start stacking up the lane instead,
they've
to
blocked
prevent
the
it from ever
rusty
getting out
bucket
to that
access.
point.
So so you're gonna then have them go in the Rusty Bucket access area to stack?
So it would just be turning them around here, just making
That's
sure.
That's worse
It's
than
not
what
necessarily a
I'm.
designated Rusty Bucket access lane. That's,
But
they
that
would
can't
be
be a
able to,
stacking
they
lane.
would be able to at least manage their traffic on the premises in such a way that it doesn't block traffic, nor does it take any, parking spaces. So you'd have to.
Yeah, like it can't
Yeah.
block, you can't stack at all where that drive area is. Like, that makes me more worried, what you just suggested. If you're saying where the Rusty, your path, I know you own it all, the
Yeah.
path right there, you can't stack past that, right?
No, I'm saying we wouldn't, we just would not allow.
Okay.
Really, really unlikely.
Oh, yeah, it's, that's not gonna happen ever. But I'm entertaining hypotheticals here. We wouldn't
Just
allow
so
it
you
to
know,
stack out
there
into the
are
road.
times I have to send
Yes.
police to the car wash right across the street.
Yeah.
Not often, but it's often enough that they don't manage it for us.
Yeah.
So I have to call police officers to manage it for us.
Yeah, and-
So I'm asking, as a good citizen, are you guys able to help us where when you see it's really busy, you tell people like, hey, we're really full, just
Yeah,
do
we
some
would-
loop
yeah,
around.
or we would
That's
tell
on
them-
Square Lake.
Yeah, what I'm saying is to have them cycle around either to here,
Oh, geez.
because at this point is where it merges back in, like there, and wait, or,
So you're gonna stack them within the parking lot area instead of telling them, hey, it's really full right now. Maybe take a loop around Square Lake, come back.
yeah, either,
Because if you're talking about stacking in the area where people are supposed to be coming in and out of parking lots, you've now just blocked up that area. That's what I'm worried about. Like, when you tell me how you're gonna handle it, saying I'm gonna have them stack more in this parking lot area, then you get the Rusty Bucket people angry that like, hey, our people can't get in and out of their parking lot.
You might want to remember with Starbucks, when we were at Woodward and Square Lake, we actually had all that internal stacking within the shopping center. That also was supplying parking to the dialysis building as well as CVS. So that's not uncommon for their stacking to occur on that rare occasion, because that, at least it's on the premises itself. I'd be more concerned that there be a single person in a 4-lane eastbound Square Lake trying to guide traffic and suggest that they need to be waved on. I think it's better to get them on the premises, and then they can stack within the site itself.
Because I do get complaints about that Starbucks, just so you know, about the internal stacking. That people just don't really enjoy or feel safe with it.
And I'm just giving that as an example.
Yeah. Okay, awesome. Anyone else have questions?
No.
All right.
Oh, I do want to see the sound study, though. If you haven't sent it, just,
I haven't sent it out, can get you that this afternoon.
I'll make sure that's noted in the minutes, and I'll make sure you guys get a copy of it.
thank you.
So anybody prepared to make a motion?
I move to approve as presented.
Support.
Great, we have a motion by Clerk Brooks, support by Treasurer Shostak. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All opposed? That does pass.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much.
Appreciate your time.
All right, so next we have general business. Anything to review from previous?
No, I don't.
Awesome. Next we have, thank you.
Yep.
We have the next
Thanks for
meeting
being
date
here.
of November 6th, and I'd look for a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Motion by Clerk Brooks, support by Treasurer Shostak. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Great.